I've reacted to racing crashes, sports injuries, Summer Olympics, but now it's time for Winter Olympics, and Sam tells me that one of these might even give me a pause/laugh. Huge thanks to ZipRecruiter for sponsoring this video. Let's get started. Beep-whoop.
I think that's the best part about sport. Sport is this bubble that we...
Oh my God, see, this is scary because we have the combination of high speed and sharpness. Sharpness and doctor. There's a fear.
The lowest point was this horrific crash in 2018.
How is one supposed to prevent that? Is there a braking system on these sleds?
Emily was on her third and final luge run at her first Olympic Games.
Oh my God, that's so bad. I saw right away the head hit. Luckily, there's a good helmet on. But what happens is you get a compression of the cervical spine there. Remember, there are discs that are fluid filled in between the vertebrae. But when that compression happens, it could damage that disc that provides that cushioning and it can lead to problems as that disc could herniate and actually put pressure against the nerves that come out of the spine.
Emily slammed against the wall, ricocheting herself on the ice. She ended up breaking her neck and back.
Oh my God, that cervical neck fracture. The fact that they couldn't stabilize her right away gives me fear for a second impact injury. But when it comes to cervical neck injuries, you're also worried because remember, bones give you structure, they give you stability. And when you have that initial injury, that stability might not be there when you don't have bony protection. That means you can have a severing of the spinal cord, and a severing of the spinal cord in the high cervical region is not compatible with life, unfortunately.
I couldn't sit up for too long without my neck spasming. I couldn't lay down for too long without my back spasming. I walked on a treadmill for like 6 minutes and everything would spasm and I'd have to lay down.
It took 6 months for her bones to heal, but even when she was cleared to train again, she wasn't sure she had it in her.
Yeah, it's tough because what happens when you're rehabbing, you lose some of that athletic edge, both from a psychological and physiologic perspective. Because remember, athletes perform well, not just because their muscles perform well and their nerves fire well. It's also because of their confidence, their ability to visualize success. And if either of those are impacted, and usually both are after an injury, maybe the competitive edge is no longer there.
9 months following that devastating crash, she was sliding her way into a bronze medal at the World Cup in Whistler, Canada.
Wow. From terrible injury, lots of hesitation, and then success. But what's interesting is overcoming that injury could only happen with effort in forcing yourself to perform when you don't want to. And a lot of times that seems counterintuitive to people because they believe, oh, I should get motivated and then I'll do something. A lot of times it's doing something you don't want to do or are afraid to do, and then overcoming that gives you the reassurance to keep doing it and the feel-good hormones to keep doing it.
1994, Mandy Voitzel and Ingo Steuer.
I wasn't even in America back then, so this is like major throwback vibes.
Just as the commentator was remarking on the numerous concussions Voitzel had inflicted on Steuer during their 2 years together as a team.
Hold on a second. Inflicted upon? Is this a IPV domestic violence situation?
Poor Mandy plummeted chin first to the eye.
Oh my God, I'm so scared to watch this. See, you never think about, the way I pause this, by the way, is insane, but you never think about CTE being involved with ice skating, but it absolutely can in a sport that has multiple recurrent concussions. Chronic means that it's ongoing for a long period of time, and traumatic means that there's some kind of trauma happening. We associate it more so with football, repetitive hits there, but if your head's hitting the hard ice, that's no good either.
Oh dear.
Oh, did she hit her head? It felt like she saved it. I need a slow-mo.
After a scary moment,
It looked like she knocked the wind out of her by hitting her solar plexus.
Steuer picked her up and carried her off to a rinkside doctor who confirmed the pair had to withdraw from the competition.
Vern, I've just talked to the German team leader, Peter Krieg, and he said that Mandy has badly cut her chin. She's in the first aid room behind me having it stitched right now. He said that nothing is broken, but he said it is impossible for her to go out and skate.
Yeah, I mean, with that much pressure on the chin every time you're moving and performing at high speed, all those stitches can break, reopen, create a worsening scar, blood loss. It's a no-win situation to try to perform that way.
The regular-footed rider.
Okay, a little snowboarding action. Oh! Oh! I thought he stuck it. In a situation like that, based on how high he was in the air, I'm getting a CAT scan of the head for sure, just simply based on the mechanism of injury. And we have all sorts of protocols that we use to decide who should and shouldn't get imaging, because in this day and age of CYA medicine, which is cover your medicine, people start scanning everyone with any basic level of trauma, and that predisposes people to getting a lot of extra CT scans, thereby exposing them to lots of radiation. And there's been estimates put forward that there are potentially a huge number, maybe not the majority, but a significant minority of cancer cases that we are causing with unnecessary CT scans.
Earlier, just a terrifying incident out on the ice. Skaters from Canada in 8th place, Jessica Dubé and Bryce Davison, got too close on their camel spins.
Spinning blades. This is worse than when you make me watch Saw reactions. And Triller? Is it Terrifier? Oh, he clipped her! He clipped her scalp.
The blade striking her in the face as they got too close.
To be honest, the skull is pretty hard. I'm hoping that if anything, it's just a mild injury with a lot of bleeding requiring staples. Did he hit her in the face?
It is one of the dangers of pair skating, Paul.
Why is the rescue team a dude who's too old to be out on the ice in general? Why isn't there like a robot that gets them there quicker? Like a Newfoundland just swimming to the rescue?
Now, she suffered a laceration to the left side of her face and her nose. There is no break and fortunately no damage to the eye. She underwent surgery and they don't expect, at this point anyway, any permanent damage.
Wow, that is so scary. They watched the accident over and over again, and as part of their post-traumatic stress therapy. The fact that they watched it over and over again could be a way of practicing what's known as desensitization therapy. And it's an approach we take most commonly in phobia treatment. So for example, if you have a terrible, irrational fear of spiders, first, we would get people comfortable saying the word, then looking at a picture of a spider, and slowly over time, working our way up to that exposure to the point where it doesn't create that panic sensation. Back to the injuries in just a second, but first I want to tell you about ZipRecruiter. Every athlete we're seeing in this video competes at the highest level, but they don't do it alone. They've surrounded themselves with world-class teams to train them to be champions and rehabilitate them when they get injured. Believe me, I know the value of a great team, whether it be when I'm making YouTube videos, working in the hospital, or boxing in the ring. But finding and interviewing the right people means asking the right questions, and that's not always easy. That's why you need ZipRecruiter. When you post your job, ZipRecruiter suggests screening questions to help you hone in on those top candidates faster. And today you could try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/Dr. Mike. Their matching technology immediately finds qualified candidates that check all your boxes, and it recommends screening questions you can easily add to get the highest quality applicants. Ask key questions and hire faster with ZipRecruiter. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/Dr. Mike. That's ZipRecruiter.com/Dr. Mike. Meet your match on ZipRecruiter. All right, back to the injuries.
And the hands of Lindsey Vonn trying to find the perfect grip.
What is the name of the sport? Is it slalom?
Downhill skiing.
What is slalom? I like saying the word. Am I saying it even right?
I believe you're pronouncing slalom correctly.
Salmon?
In the Olympics, it's called alpine skiing.
Alpine skiing.
And now has dropped back.
Oh!
Over the top.
The leg got caught. There wasn't a lot of blunt force trauma, but there was a leg getting caught. I need to rewind to give you a better diagnosis. Yeah, the right leg looks like he gets caught, which means that there's probably torn connective tissues, ACL, PCL, MCL, LCL. I'm gonna use the whole alphabet here. According to US ski team, suffered a torn ACL and MCL and a lateral tibial plateau fracture. All right, so that's a fracture of the top portion of the tibia, which is the part of the lower leg that you stand on. So basically your shin bone. And what's interesting about these tibial plateau injuries is that even once they heal, it does predispose you to a higher rate of arthritis, because imagine that's the surface that makes contact with the joint, therefore increasing risks of degeneration of that joint as time goes on. my God, he cracked his head on the ground. And because he was holding the stick, the shovel, the broom, he probably landed face first quite quickly with no break in force.
I'm good. I think it's a good Halloween costume anyway. Put some white makeup on and have that zombie look, I guess. But I've had better days for sure. They did a good job getting me back here, and I think 7 stitches is what it took. So messed up a couple jackets.
When you have a injury that requires you to go to the ER and your main concern is that you messed up a few jackets, it's a good day. It does look like there is a little bit of a fracture there just based on the swelling, but I could be wrong. It could be just very mild. You got to be careful with orbital swelling though, because if it's in a specific part of the orbit, that can increase issues related to vision, neurologic status, because there are very important areas around the eye that are sensitive to pressure.
In the World Cup rankings behind.
Oh, Special Olympics, let's go. What's the difference between Paralympics and Special Olympics?
Paralympics, I think, is physical. Special Olympics is cognitive.
Special Olympics focuses on inclusive participations for individuals with intellectual disabilities, while Paralympics is an elite world-class sporting event for athletes with physical and intellectual impairments. The key differences lie in their philosophy. Special Olympics is inclusion, Paralympics is elite sporting.
3rd in the first training run, 8th in the second.
I wonder if this is a congenital issue that this individual has, or a traumatic issue. Because an interesting point, one of the individuals who's been on the Checkup podcast, God, was it Molly Burke that said this? Editor, fact check me on screen right now live so that the audience can see. I believe it was Molly Burke. Being disabled is the only demographic that any one of us can join at a single time.
It's important for everybody to remember that disability is the only minority community that anybody can join at any time.
Oh, lumbar sacral agenesis. I'm pretty sure it's the incomplete formation or totally missing formation of the lumbar or sacral and or sacral spine, which can actually lead to issues with the bladder, the GI system. So this isn't just a physical issue. It could also have a physiological impact on organs.
Going through the turn.
Oh my God!
Stack. Oh no!
Oh my God, the amount of momentum. I wonder if they wear protective gear. Is it like motorcycle riding where you have really good protective gear, like a spine shield, etc.? Or is this just hope you don't have an injury?
The headline will just sum it up. Cross-country skier suffers frozen penis.
Why is it because the pants are thin and didn't wear warm underwear?
In-home explained that he used a heat pack to try to thaw out his appendage once the race was over. Quote,
that probably hurt.
Well, you got to remember that when you warm up an area that has been damaged by cold, you can actually make the damage worse. So you got to do it carefully, usually under medical supervision. And remember, frostbite can set in really early and in tissues that are quite sensitive, meaning lots of circulation, nerves. That can be even a bigger problem. Is there an ICD-10 code for frostbite of the penile organ?
The pain was unbearable.
Well, that's good because that means that there is not end-stage damage destroying the nerve. Anything that is an appendage on the human body would automatically be higher risk for frostbite because anything closer to the midline of the body is technically safer because that's where the warmth is. In fact, what the body does is it tries to redirect from peripheral tissues, meaning outside of the body, redirect the blood to the inside so that it suffers less heat loss. And the way that it does this is by constricting those blood vessels on the outside in order to redirect the blood towards the inside. So anything closer to the midline usually stays warmer.
Here's the kicker.
Don't laugh at his pain?
The subhead, if you will.
Evil.
Remy Lindholm needs a heat pack after finishing 28. I don't know. I'm hoping there was at least a 29th skier out there.
Oh, he finished 28th. Well, yeah, you try finishing with a frozen pecker.
Now it's the Frenchman, Yannick Bertrand. Yannick Bertrand.
Did testicular injury?
Oh, the gate to the groin.
Oh, gate to the groin is a good description of what happened. He hit that going really fast. You can rupture. You can have serious damage. I remember when I did Taekwondo, they made me jump up and down on my heels. And medically, I don't have a good reason. Well, I'm gonna look up, why do they tell you to jump up and down on heels? It's not a standard medical or physical response, I know, but might be a folk remedy or a way to distract. They were tricking me the whole time.
January 6th, 1994.
I'm still not in America, but it's close to my dad's birthday.
The day the genteel sport of figure skating.
Genteel sport. I wish if I ever had a 60-minute special, they called me the genteel doctor. I have no idea what genteel means, but it just sounds beautiful off the tongue. What does it mean?
I'm not entirely sure.
Okay, no one knows what it means. Let's ask our friend here. I've been using this as a stress reliever. One of my coworkers, CMAs, gave this to me at work and I love it. It feels like gentle, but at a higher level. Like maybe it's a colorful gentle because there's a teal in the genteel. Teal scrub.
For that was the day an assailant clubbed Nancy Kerrigan on the leg as she left the ice after practice.
Is this Tanya Harding? Is this the situation?
Some hard black stick. Something really, really hard.
She got clubbed with a stick really, really hard?
Someone was running by me and he just like whacked me with this long black stick.
The attack plunged Kerrigan's Olympic dreams into doubt.
Where did he hit her? I need to know the area of injury in order to make some sort of diagnosis. The swelling ballooned around her right knee, her takeoff and landing leg. The next morning, an orthopedic team drained 20 cubic centimeters of blood. So while not a huge amount, it is a traumatic amount, and ruled a distraught Kerrigan out of the competition based on pain, lack of motion in the knee, and lack of strength. I would call this a bone injury, a bony injury, maybe a deeper bruise, a bone bruise. The periosteum that covers the bone, that can get inflamed, they can become quite painful.
And focused suspicion on rival skater Tanya Harding.
How are you feeling right now?
It's been a long week.
Within days, Harding's estranged husband, Jeff Gillooly, was arrested, along with 3 other men.
Her husband is approved?
Proclaimed her innocence.
I may have some bad points about me, but overall, I think I'm a pretty good person.
Who did interviews back then? I think I'm a pretty good person. Did you slap the out of her leg? That's my question.
Kerrigan and Harding faced off at the Olympics in Lillehammer, Norway. Despite her injuries, Kerrigan won silver, while Harding, who had problems with her skate laces, finished well out of the running.
If anyone asks me how my boxing match against Chris Avila went, I would say I had trouble with my boxing laces, so didn't go my way. It was a genteel fight.
Receiving 3 years probation and a $100,000 fine.
How did she get charged?
You gotta go watch the movie.
This is wild. All right, tonight, canceling all, I mean, it is tonight. It's 8:30 p.m., but late tonight, Tanya Harding, you have my full attention.
In a final blow, the U.S. Figure Skating Association banned her for life.
Tanya, I welcome you to the Checkup podcast to discuss your side of the story and what really happened. Not about the injury, because I don't really care about that. What did the laces do? And are you too a genteel skater? I've seen and reacted to some terrible hockey injuries. Click here to check that out. And as always, stay happy and healthy.